Welcome to the Global Exclusive Podcast. My name is Hazard. I'm your host, along with my friends Shadow Walker and Sinzar. And
Hi.
Shadow Walker has a beautiful sponsor this week that we're very excited about. Take it away, Shadow.
Yeah, you see, the Global Exclusive Podcast haven't had a sponsor for almost 2 years now, but this week's podcast is brought to you by Delays and Maintenance.
Oh yeah, the maintenance was quite long today or yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird because they gave themselves 10 hours, I think, and then it was delayed an hour and then another hour. So it ended up being a 12-hour maintenance. Probably
And
the
even when
longest
it came
ever.
back online, we had a whole ton of stuff that just didn't work. So
Yeah,
that shit happened.
if you want to count the Clash of Wills, the maintenance was actually like 37 hours.
Yeah, we went past the 24-hour mark during the maintenance.
I want to say, do you guys remember the 35-hour maintenance, or at least for Apple iOS users?
Yeah,
Huge
that
maintenance
was
we had.
Wasn't
How
that
many, it was
after
35 hours.
Wasn't that after we all got like 10k lapis just out of nowhere in our inventory, and then they had to shut down the server?
It was
Was that?
5K lapis. That was another
Oh.
event, but it was 5K lapis for that event, and it was almost everyone in the world got it unless you met like a very specific criteria. And I was one of the very few that did not get the 5K, but I complained to Gumi like 8 months later or something, and they ended up giving it to me. So I was pretty actually happy about that.
You complained 8 months later. That's the
I
definition.
don't know, it was a long time. Still salty about it. At the time, 5K lapis was a lot at the time. Like that was a big deal.
It's still a lot now, I think. Yeah, but yeah, this week we have the maintenance brought us Chizuru, which everyone was freaking out about during maintenance. Do you want to talk about it, that Sinzar? Why people were freaking out about it? And I think you're the cause of it. Your sheet was the cause of it.
It's just math. Yeah, she hits really hard. She has a 350 baseline LB that scales. Does it scale with morale? I think it scales with morale. Let me check. I have to check that real quick. It does scale with morale. Yeah. It's a double part LB, meaning it double dips on things like Tyvus' Spirit. It double dips on things like Sylvie's Boost. Chizuru just casually has over 10,000 attack power at EX2, 11,000 at EX3.
Well, hold on. 10,000 at EX2 with Ruler's Gear.
Yes, which you should have these days. At this point, we've got enough Xenostone that you should consider making it, because we've got the 2 rings, and the rings should, for the most part, cover your Magisters. Like, you should definitely make 2 Magisters rings. Yes, this is me telling you what to do. And I feel like you don't need 4 Magisters items, so it's time to swap at least 1 item to Rulers, potentially 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we're also getting so much Emperor Gigantars. I think Chizuru is definitely worth 130 as well.
I did.
Just for your consideration, for everybody listening.
Mm-hmm. Might do that right now, actually.
Yeah,
she's worth it. Yeah, but her damage in both Clash of Wills and the Dark Visions is just absurd. So we're like kind of sort of almost power creeping Titus before he even comes out.
Didn't we exactly power creep Titus though?
I think Titus, technically speaking, does do slightly more than her. But the thing is, he's elementally locked, and she is not. She is any element, which is such a big deal. Yeah.
So we talk about 2 beautiful things that she has. Number 1 is AoE Wind Imbue, which we were talking about before we started recording. I do not have Bulwark, and so this is a really lovely thing. I can finally put Zon to rest for my Wind Imbue using that. What's that TMR called? It's like the Forge.
Craftsman's Secret Book.
That's the one. I've been using that for DV since I came back, and it's it's okay. It works, but Chizuru is going to be a way big upgrade for that. Not only for the damage she does, but for the Wind Imbue. And she's got a couple different pillars that are really effective, like Stone, Plant, Beast, and Bug, which are a little bit on the uncommon side. So some pretty cool stuff she's got in her kit. Plus, it's Chizuru. I mean, come on, she's like the OG cool unit.
She is, and many people are super hyped about like, oh, it's Chizuru. She won the popularity contest. For me, I'm like, whatever. I don't really have the nostalgia for Chizuru. You know, I did use her. You know, back in 2016, she was a fine unit and all, but like, she wasn't that big a deal for me. So I don't know. Whatever.
She had
How
Blade
dare
Blitz. I think she had Blade Blitz.
Wasn't
She
she
had
she was the
Barrage.
Barrage meta.
Oh, she
Yeah.
was Barrage. That's right.
She was the Barrage
It was
meta.
Agrius that had Blade Blitz, and that was so effective as a
But
new player.
wasn't Chizuru also the first person, like one of the first people to get an actual chaining move after her enhancements? Because I remember chaining with her quite a bit.
I don't think she needed. I think she had a baseline. I think it was called like Pipe Dream or something. It was like a 5-hit chain that did chain with herself. So yeah, I think that was a thing too. But like I said, I didn't really use her that much back in the day. She wasn't really for me. So I don't know.
I'm gonna look her up. I'm gonna find out what that move is.
But she's very good in the new form. Now that being said, though, she is very, very awkward and clunky. She like suffers from Wilk syndrome. She's a trance shift. She literally has no multicast in the shift form. All she can do is one skill per turn, and she's stuck in this shift form. Her base form has basically no attacks at all. All it's got is some low modifier racial skills that, again, she can't multicast. So she is very, very awkward. She is definitely a unit that you like set up for big burst, but you probably don't want her for trial content. Now, that being said, you can definitely force her to work, like, and trust her every turn, that kind of stuff. Because her LB is crazy good. But, like, she's an overall very, very good unit. I'm just saying she's not like a set it and forget it unit like Elena. That's very easy to use. Not Elena. Well, Elena too, actually, these days, but that's kind of getting ahead of ourselves. Like Esther.
The other thing is, like when people look at your sheet, people also need to realize that Chizuru has a self 100% win damp versus Wilk and Esther who don't. But Wilk and Esther also take advantage of Sylvie's hands. So with Sylvie's hands, they'll be a little closer, not as far as the passive gap goes right now. So
yes, and for people listening and that use my sheet, definitely always read the instruction manual. On my sheet, it specifically says on page 1, the big info page, if you want to adjust the assumptions, you can make a local copy. And the whole point of my sheet is it's very easy to edit. So you make a copy. At the top of the box, there's a button that says Party Amplify. Set that to 100%, and it will automatically adjust every single other calculation. So if you want to use Sylvie's Amplify, it's a simple click to change the sheet. But by default, I don't assume you have Sylvie. So by default, it's not displaying her Amplify.
yeah, I mean, this is also just our damage. Chizuru also has so much utility that it's kind of crazy they fit this much utility into a damage dealer.
Yes.
She has
By the way,
killer
before
buffs.
we go on, Phantom Shadow was a 1.4 modifier with ignore 50% defense. It is a 5-hit attack. that was the chain that I used as a brand new player in 2017, I think, is when I started.
Very strong.
OG. That's kind of crazy. I mean, there's a theory that Gumi or Alim never knew about chaining, and like that chaining was a mistake. I still follow that theory.
It still is a mistake.
But here we are, 6 years into the game.
It's one of the most important features in the game. It's essential. There's so much content to be able to chain effectively, and it's still almost impossible to spark chain without some sort of third-party thing, or you have to set something on your phone, or you have to use an auto or a clicker or whatever. It's pretty wild that after all this time, still like hasn't been made easy. Like there should be an execute button where you can select multiple units and then click execute and have them all chain at the same time or in some sort of sequence.
Speaking of that, though, even though she's not a dual unit, Chizuru is a tag chainer, which is awesome.
It was also one of those things, like when I saw the data mine, I was like, but Chizuru doesn't have anyone to tag chain with. Who is she tag chaining with? And if you see the animation, she's tag chaining with her shadow clones, which is super cool.
Wait, Explain to me how she does tag chains.
Her LB. Her LB is a tag chain, and when you use it,
right.
it turns on tag chains to her entire kit, so everything becomes tag chain, including all her regular skills.
You're absolutely right.
She tag chains everything. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of awesome. Also, she has the innate chain ramp, meaning she kind of like mitigates the problem that tag chainers have, where their tag chains build slowly. By default, hers build quickly. So yeah, it's like just a really, really good unit.
Yeah, yeah. So much to say about her.
I'm happy. I'm a happy camper. I got her on step 3. I have to tell everybody I got her on step 3. I got Wilk on step 1, and I got Sylvie on step 1. So my luck is at an all-time high right now. I should probably just quit and keep it that way, but I still got like 53k left over after all that. Those 3 units. I'm pretty excited.
On the other
Enough of
hand,
my bragging.
I went all the way to pity and got none. So that was unfortunate.
I'm sorry, Sinzar.
It's
I
okay.
feel bad for bragging. I feel bad. I feel bad that you had to go to pity. So no fun. It is, in fact, pitiful that you have to go to pity every time. It's so sad. We have all this lapis. It just goes to waste.
It is fun to watch Sinzar. Very sad about it because I don't know. I just get a kick out of people not having good luck. I'm so sorry.
Well, Sinzar, I think, is especially fun to watch get upset because I just love his videos. I've always loved your videos, Sinzar, because there's always some point where you get upset about something, like you go on some rant about whatever, and it's usually like right in the middle of the fight. It's such a beautiful tangent you go off on. I really appreciate it. And so I haven't, your poll videos, I'm sure I haven't watched any recently, but if you have a poll video for Chizuru, please let me know. I will go watch it.
I do, but I try to make it a very specific point to not get salty during poll videos. I try because people like get mad at me. Like they really like, you complain because you didn't pull Chizuru. I didn't either. Shame on you. So like wow, calm down.
That's funny. And do you remember who was the guy? Who was the guy that was like the mega whale that eventually got banned?
Dyrus?
Dyer.
No, Dyer.
So every once in a while I'd watch a Dyer video and I'd pull up YouTube, and if the video length was like 30 or 40 minutes, I was like, oh boy, here we go. There's always some huge complaining fest, and I can't blame him.
I was watching Clake's poll video on Chizuru, and he also had to go to pity. That was like, and then you see his desperation as he goes through the final like 3 or 4 steps. He's just like literally praying to the RNG gods, but it ain't happening. I love it.
Can't believe he's still playing. Actually, I thought he kind of stepped back for a while, didn't he?
Yeah, he came back during anniversary. Like anniversary, like gripped him, and it's like he's staying. Yeah.
It's the habit we just can't quit.
See, you can't. FFP can leave you out, but you can never leave FFBE.
Make a t-shirt.
The other thing that Chizuru does is she has one of the best cards in the game, literally. Who wants to talk about that card?
Is it though? I don't think her card's that special. It's like
I think the card is special because of the value that it brings as a non-premium card.
As a cheap, non-premium, non-banner card, sure, but then you're excluding like 5 cards better than this one. Like, it's a really good card, don't get me wrong. It's just that there's so many really good cards, and like I honestly don't see myself hardly ever using this.
So let's get the stats then. It's a base attack of 125. At level 4, you get attack and defense 50%. Level 7, you get 100% stop resist and guts. Max 1 time when HP is above 1%. And then at level 10, you get a static 500 attack and 25% killers against all races. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
All right, it's a good card. It's just a problem of we're overflowing with the good cards at this point, including the card that comes along with her on her banner, but not her.
Let's talk about that card, eh? Let's talk about that card.
Okay.
It's so good. Like what is with all these good cards? Like I think the most specific thing about that card is that it has another EN chain on it, which is amazing.
Mhm. You see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's like Chizuru's card is amazing, but so is everything else we're getting recently.
Which is weird. The power creep in cards have gotten I mean, power creep in general has been getting super fast recently. It's the whole doomsday scenario Barros was talking about a few weeks ago. But right now, power creep in cards has been absurd, especially with Kaito's card only being very recent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good. So like the lone swordsman card that you mentioned, it is 5 less lower base attack, but other than that, it's just better in every way. It's got 100% attack and HP, 500 flat attack and HP, 50 LB damage, 100% to 2 of the uncommon killers, and then like you mentioned, it gives you an incredibly powerful cooldown ability of AoE Extreme Nova Chaining with a 2000 modifier. And for those of you that want a comparison, that's equal to about a 285x limit burst. Now, that doesn't sound that great, and obviously it's not compared to like, Wilk and all that. But 285 LB available on turn 1 that can go on literally anyone, including support units. Like, you could give this to like Ling or something, and her attack power is relatively decent. But yeah, she can be like a buffer, and then she can chip in with the chain and help out. Also, as a kind of side note, this ability is literally the strongest ability in the entire kit of Frievia if she has this card. So Frievia, the big problem with her is, I'm serious, the big problem with her having low damage, well, now she has a much stronger skill than anything in her kit, including her focused limit burst.
Wait, this makes Frievia good in turn 1. This makes her really good in turn 1 because she has absurd high stats.
It makes everyone good on turn 1. It makes Wilk amazing on turn, because Wilk has really high stats, but his turn 1 damage is pretty poor. This gives him a good option for OTK content. It's great.
Yep, I mean, we can't complain.
Really nice
we
card.
like good cards. Did you pull up to the card at least?
Done. I did. I got Chizuru on step 3, but I wanted the card. I figured I planned to pull on the whole step, so I got it. I have not really found a use for it yet, but I'm probably going to do what Sinzar said, is put it on like, not Sylvie. Sylvie's got an EN chain, but probably like a Ling or what's her name, Venera, or someone like that, some support unit, or even a tank, like just to chip in with those chains. Those chains are amazing. So it's a really awesome thing. It has to be an FFBE unit, but that's a pretty wide swath of units at this point.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, unfortunately, it will not work on Venera, but Brave Exvius only.
It's a shame, it's an FFBE game. So
I know that
BS.
That was kind of weird to me, the way I guess War of the Visions is technically not Brave, but it is. Isn't it called literally War of the Visions Brave Exvius?
It's Final Fantasy Brave Exvius War of the Visions. Like, it's definitely part of the FFBE family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, weird.
Makes it goomy.
Oh well.
Or I could just put it on my Night Delita. Back, baby.
The other thing that she has is a great STMR, but I don't know about that TMR. Like, with the card, the TMR is like a 50% Omni killer with the card, with her card. But that's 2 for 50% Omni killer. I'm not too sure. What do you guys think?
Yeah. So Code of the Samurai, 60% attack and 25% physical damage against all races. I think that one's kind of underwhelming to me.
Yeah, I can't really see myself ever using it. You're going to obviously stick it on her base form to give herself the permanent break immunity. But other than that, it's just not good.
STMR, though, is very good. 230 attack. Got 75% damage against beasts and plant. 100% equipment attack. Accuracy. Static attack of 1,000. It's nice. It's two-handed, right? I believe.
It is, yeah.
It's two-handed.
It is our new best katana in the game, in my opinion.
Hey.
Which feels really bad after I STMR Moogled multiple of Kaito's katana, and then they crept it immediately. That
Right.
sucks.
I got two of them too. It's funny because when you get to EX1, I mean, you almost want to just use an STMR Moogle STMR anyway. And when you get EX2, you get a free STMR that specific unit. I almost get to no matter what on every unit or on every good unit. But also, I wanted to, before we forget, vision card for Chizuru is called a happy family, which, if you know the backstory of Chizuru, is really, really kind of sadistic. It's kind of mean and rude that they called it a happy family because it is anything but a happy family. And Chizuru,
Spoiler alert, they all die.
spoiler, they all die and Chizuru kills herself. So not like, very, very subtle dig on Gumi's part here.
It was a sad story event. Speaking of, they didn't bring back the story event for a rerun. Like, I don't understand why they didn't do that. They definitely should have.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, especially with all
she
the
doesn't even
incoming
get
new players, right?
CGLB.
Correct. That for me is like whatever. I never had those turned on, so I don't care about that. But I guess it would have been cool if she had.
I mean, the thing about Chizuru, like during her time as a 4-star unit, I think we've used her too much. So maybe they want to do that. I don't know. Maybe just a theory.
Does Cleom have a CGLB?
I think she does. I think all of the season 3 girls have a CGLB. I'm pretty sure she does.
So basically, just imagine that one in your head when you're using Chizuru's LB because they basically it's the same unit. For being honest here, it's a short, dark-haired, Asian katana wielder samurai, a long sword. So fair? Is that unfair? Am I being too unfair?
As far as unit design, they're similar. As far as kit, not at all.
Right. Yeah. Just aesthetically is what I mean. Yeah.
Similar. Yeah.
Chizuru's obviously cooler because it's Chizuru. Sorry, Sinzar. I'm dying on this hill.
I mean, I've got no problem with her. I'm just saying I don't have that like nostalgia that players have. I think she looks fine. She's got good animations. She's got good art. I have no complaints about her.
He's lying. He has
a ringing endorsement.
He's a Roberta simp.
Roberta simp. Anything else we want to talk about with Chizuru?
Not really.
Okay. We can move on to some upgrades with some of our favorite global exclusive units. Yoshi, Elena, Sky, and Oliveira. You guys want to tackle first?
Let's tackle Yoshi first because he's boring.
Thank you. Yoshi's the worst global exclusive unit, in my opinion.
Ooh, I mean, are you gonna take that, Cotton? Cotton, if you're listening to this, you can't just take that and you can't.
He's fine. At EX3, he's got a really good amplify and ice and water support. The intrinsic, makes an already decent support even better. It's good. It's a kind of a scenario of it's the worst of the best because all 4 of these intrinsics are amazing, and this one is a really good intrinsic. It's just that you're only great. You're not amazing like all the other 3. So I don't know. Not a ton more to it than that, but it's good. It's good at what it does.
Yeah, it's super boring. I think that's the best way I can put it. I don't think most people ever use it. There's other stuff. But we can talk about, I guess, Oliveira next, because I think that's Sinzar's favorite unit right now.
He is definitely way, way more high in my esteem than he used to be. Oliveira, this card, not the card, this intrinsic, along with the Dazzle card we recently have, those two combined on top of the Magic Variants update have taken Oliveira from one of the biggest trolls in the pool to one of the best units in the pool. He is one of the highest damage mages in the game. He is locked to Dark Element, which is a big handicap. So if that's a problem, then you can't use him. But if Dark works, like he is just straight up ridiculously good damage with that whole combo, the card and the intrinsic. In Clash of Wills, he does extremely high damage as well. And that's even including the fact that he is not eligible for Sylvie's 100% amplifies. He is still incredibly strong in Clash of Wills. That being said, he is still basically just a damage dealer. Like he's got a little bit of support in his kit, but not really. He's just DPS. But yeah, the intrinsic has boosted his damage dramatically. I cannot wait until we get a dark magic, dark vision stage, and Oliveira can probably solo cap it. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, but this is one of those things where you have to put another huge asterisk. I mean, you already mentioned it, but like you kind of need a card. You kind of need everything to align up. He's kind of
it's really just the card because the intrinsic is free, but the dazzle card, like Oliveira without the dazzle card is nowhere near as good as with it.
Okay, and the next unit, I guess I'll take over. It is Sky, and I think this one was like the favorite that I saw when the data mine started to come in, because we all thought Sky was really good already. She just needed a few attack buffs, as Stream once mentioned in the podcast before. Well, lo and behold, they straight up gave her 2,000 attack, some killers, and mod boosts to her jumps, literally making her the best damage dealer in DV, I think, if you can take jumpers. So, what can you say? Most people should be happy. It's also super stupidly dumb slot efficient too, because like it has 2,000 attack, 250 killers, I think, to Beast and Insect, and 150 killers to something else, which I completely forget.
Dragons and Reapers.
Yeah, and 50 plus modifier boost. So yeah, I'll take it any day of the week.
It also makes her one of the highest damage dealers in Clash of Wills as well. In fact, she now very easily outdamages both Esther and Wilk in Clash of Wills. So yeah, and enjoy chasing the premium Wilk because now Sky just does way more damage.
That's so sad. This is so sad. My Wilk is so sad.
Oh man. Okay, let's move on to the last one, which I'm pulling up right now, is Elena. Maybe. Oh, Elena?
So tell us about that one, Hazard.
I'm trying to find it. I don't know where it went.
Well, hers is basically the same thing as Sky's. It's 2,000 attack and magic, 80% attack and magic. But the big thing with Elena is it doesn't give any killers. It gives a permanently active 400 times modifier boost to everything in her kit. And if you remember, a few months ago, Elena got some EX ability upgrades, which also gave modifiers to her skills, and those are still there. And in her base form, Gemini Blade double dips on modifier boost. What this means is that in the base form, Gemini Blade with her intrinsic and EX, either 2 or 3, but EX3 for the best. She has a 3,600x chaining modifier literally every turn. There is no setup, there is no cooldown. You just literally chain 3,600x every single turn. And to compare it to a limit burst, that's equivalent to a 514x limit burst, which is higher than anything in the entire game. So yeah, Starlight Elena has stupidly high damage per turn. That being said, in her base form,
non-existent though.
Her base form, you kind of have to force double hand to get these numbers, and it is very hard to build her base form as double hand. So if you're not fighting one of the races that she is favored against, you're going to struggle pretty hard to cap her killers. So humans, demons, and a few others, because she really wants the Dazzle card as well. You could also cap her on like aquatics and insects because the Dazzle card gives a ton of killers to those as well. But all other races, she's going to really struggle bust to cap those killers. But if you're fighting one of those 4 races, Elena, like I literally did a 3-turn clear on Gloomwing. The fight that most players can't even do in 15 turns, Elena did it in 3 turns. her damage is that bonkers if you can properly gear her for the killers. And for Insect is one of those that you can gear her for.
Yeah, and even if you can't, I mean, you were not going to get as big of numbers, but I don't think you lose. You only lose at what, 30 or 40% based on TDW, I guess.
If you
Only,
go
quote
true to
unquote.
it, yeah, that's true because one-handers do have a variance boost as well. So one-handers average to about 115 average variance, and two-handers are averaging about 1.5. So yeah, you lose somewhere like 25 to 30%. But yeah, exactly like you say. So going from insane to just crazy is still pretty good. Yes,
Exactly.
yeah, she's really good these days. That being said, another asterisk. As I learned using her on a few fights, she is just made of paper. She has no defensive stats, and she will die at the drop of a hat. So, by God, protect her on your party.
The other last thing is technically you kind of want EX3 on her, otherwise she's useless. So most older players won't even have the ability to use her, even if you got her innate ability. So there is that. But yeah, she's really, really good. She's probably still the best consistent DPS in the game because most of our DPS are so well geared towards the bursting. Not all of them are really good at chaining every turn. Well, we've got Elena now.
Yeah, the damage per turn, because there's no setup and no cooldown, it's really high. Like, Chizuru has the trance shift, not to mention you got to fill the LB gauge. Esther has to do her Magnus every other turn, so take a dead turn in between LBs. So
And then there's Wilk being Wilk.
Yeah, Wilk's got a stack for a long time, and even after he stacks, his LB is only 301x. It's Wilk. What happened with Wilk?
Wilk has got to be one of the saddest pulls that I've done in recent years.
He seems so good at first. He seems so good, and just I don't know.
Well, regrets. Okay, let's be honest. He's still not bad because 90% of defensive breaks, you still need to be at a 90% defense breaker. He's probably the best one out of all those 90% defensive breakers. So there is that.
Sure.
But
yes.
But it feels bad that he's not the best of the best anymore. So that's yeah.
Short range.
Pretty much.
Indeed.
Well, if we're done with the units, then we can move on to the Chamber of Vengeance, where a familiar face has reappeared after some technical difficulties. No, Sinzar's got this one.
Yeah. You spent literally the whole day doing this. So you figured it out, right?
Yes. Morgana was very, very challenging. Is very, very challenging. She's got 3 difficulties. The Elite and the Pro are kind of whatever. The lowest one you can literally OTK it on turn 1 or 2. And in the middle difficulty, I think I OTK that on turn 2 as well. So they're kind of whatever. For newer players, fine. For veterans, you're gonna have no problem. But when you get to legendary difficulty, oh my. The game ranks it as 900 difficulty modifier, which is just astronomically higher than anything else in the game. And I know the difficulty rating, you can't really put much stock into it, but that just goes to show the developers were intending her to be crazy hard, and she is. It took me a long time to figure it out, and I eventually got to the point where, at this point, I'm now slowly farming the unit mission, and I've got a core 5-man team that clears it in 5 turns. So I figured it out at this point, but it is still very, very hard. And it needs really specific units to at least use my strategy. I'm sure over time people will figure out more strategies that don't rely on the very specific lineup that I'm currently using. But it's really hard, but it's really fun too, and I really enjoy it. I've seen mixed reactions. Some players, this is kind of typical, but some players, don't really love the hard, challenging content. So they're saying, I don't like this. But for me, I enjoyed it. Did either of you get a chance to try Legendary Morgana yet?
So I beat the first 2 difficulties. It took me a while to figure it out, but I beat it, and that's the important thing. But the last one, on the first day, without seeing any guides or any of the AI, holy crap, I had no idea why I was dying, and it was just always so frustrating, so I kind of just gave up.
She is crazy, crazy hard. At this point, like I said, I've got a core 5-man team, that clears it in 5 turns, and that is allowing me to rotate 1 unit per clear in the 6 slot, and that's getting me the 18 unit clear mission, which I'm not in love with because at this point I think I'm up to 11 unit clears, and it's feeling a little tedious because my strategy is not changing. I'm literally just taking the same 5-man team plus a cheerleader that is only there kind of as a bonus unit.
Okay, but you don't have to do it that way. You could try
Well,
using.
okay, sure. Now, counterpoint, how? I want you to figure me out a team that is not using like Chow, Sylvie, and Kaito. Like if you can give me a reliable team that clears it without those 3 units, by God, I'd love to. But I don't know how to do it without those 3 units.
Okay, fair. But I think, again, we talked about this before. Chamber of Vengeance, I think the intention is supposed to be a longer term thing. You don't have to do it on the first week. Like, maybe we get additional collects power crypt units in a month or 2 that will help us do this even more efficiently.
This is my strategy.
So, exactly. Delayed
wait for power creep
gratification.
and lots of Sinzar clears. Where he does the trial and error, figures it out, and then I walk in and face roll it.
And then you still feel smart for doing it.
That's right.
I guess that is kind of true because if we compare it to the previous Chamber of Vengeance, kind of older at this point, but the elf off the shelf was also very, very challenging on release.
Yes.
And yes, and I did struggle bust that one, and I did all the clears, and it was very hard. But you fast forward 4 months, and the option was to go in there and like OTK it on turn 2 or something. And it was with like 3 units, and you could rotate a bunch. So yeah, these definitely get easier over time. But it's just my personality. Like I'm definitely the kind of player that by the end of the weekend, I will have every single unit clear mission completed. So that's just me.
I appreciate you.
But I think
can't do it.
But I do enjoy that it's hard. Like I like things that are difficult to do at release. Oh, I had to watch myself out there. I had to watch myself. Yeah. Because it means there's a long-term goal to work towards. Because otherwise, it's just DV cow, and the game gets kind of boring. So this is a nice little change of pace, where maybe I can come back in a week when my units are better. So, yeah, Hazard, you were going to say something that was clever.
That's usually my goal, but I honestly, with the cow, I just try to get to 99. I have never turned on a single modifier because I just don't care that much.
Oh, we were talking about Chamber of Vengeance.
Oh, I know, but he was saying that he just says DV and cow all the time.
Otherwise,
the game kind of gets boring. And I was like, man, I don't even do like the hard parts of cow. I just do. I get to level 99, which I didn't get to 99 last time. I got to 79 the last one. Yeah, but I'll try and do this new cow. Actually, so let's move in. Let's talk about the new cow.
Yeah, this cow is super easy. Barely any inconvenience because Sinzar already figured it out for us.
It was after some adjustments. So this cow has been a bumpy ride. So as we mentioned at the start of the podcast, after our 13-hour plus extensions maintenance, cow was still broken. We literally couldn't even do it. You enter cow and it crashes the game, or it sends you to the login screen. So that was another 24 hours of them working on Clash of Wills. After they finally brought it back up and we could do it, I went in there and I started live streaming it. And I live streamed myself just slamming my head against a wall for 3 hours as I tried to cap this boss. And it was not happening. Like I thought I was just like forgetting how to play the game. What am I doing wrong? Nothing was working. So I gave up. And then a few hours later, we get news in game. By the way, guys, the boss was bugged. He had like 10 times higher defense than was intended.
Get it? Bug? Okay, sorry, carry on.
Indeed. So yeah, the boss had just way too much defense, and that's why I was dealing like no damage. But they hot fixed that. After that, I went back into Clash of Wills. Now that the boss has been fixed, there is still another bug. Yes, pun. There is another bug in the boss with his death attack, but that one can be worked around. So once his defense was hot fixed, I rank 1. And after going back later in the day and thinking about it and planning it out, I now have a very foolproof, easy to follow guide, no RNG, that anyone can use to get a rank 1 clear, assuming you have the units that I used. That is always the big asterisk.
Yeah, but a lot of
Who
these
are
units
those
can be
units?
replaced. Kaito can. Oh, Kaito, okay. You talk about those units first. Actually, sorry.
Okay. The critical units on and again, this is my strategy. There's already been other rank 1s, like Liv Dilly posted a rank 1 video that uses different units. Ubonic, I believe, used different units as well. So this is not the only strategy. But for my strategy, the strategy that I used, and I'll try to do more strategies over time, but for the one I currently have, the critical irreplaceable units would be Kaito is required because he uses his Magnus to remove the buffs. No one can do that except him. I also need Kresnik for morale fill, but more importantly, to imbue the boss. That is very important for the way I do it. Also, he can re-raise every single turn, which is very critical because of the death attack. And then, technically speaking, Sylvie isn't required, but borderline is because she's broken. but you could maybe replace Sylvie. Now, the other units that I used were Sky, very replaceable. Like Sky does enormous damage, but all she does is damage. And same thing for Chizuru. Chizuru is, again, huge damage, but not irreplaceable. So you can replace like Sky or Chizuru with like Wilk and Esther, and it should still work. And then Sylvie can do Earth Imbue instead, because in my clear, Chizuru was the wind support, so you lose that, you lose the wind support. But the boss is weak to Earth, and you can get Earth support from Sylvie, so that'd be fine. Who else did I use? There's one more unit.
Runda.
Oh, God. Oh, Runda. Yeah, Runda. I guess maybe could be replaced, but why would you? He's free, so use him.
I have every one of those units. I may have to go look this up.
There you go. I've got an optimized rank 1 guide on my channel. It's use the one that says in the title optimized, because the first one I posted was my very first time capping, and oh my God, it was a train wreck. It worked, but it was bad. And I went and reran it with a much cleaner, better guide. And now the new one is foolproof. There's no RNG involved. So go in there, and if you have everything step by step, follow the chart, you win.
Like it.
The other thing was this cow is it's tuned a bit weirdly, because even if the death thing is removed, it doesn't make it any harder than it is right now. It actually, you could just completely ignore the mechanic. So I found it really weird that the only tuning that's hard is just the morale gauge, which I think you already mentioned, but like the morale gauge fill, the requirements to make it into a 200% or 100% is absurd.
Yeah, the reason for that is because of the broken death. Because you're having a unit die every single turn, that's a really big morale penalty. And yeah, you're literally losing a unit every single turn, which is a tremendous morale sink. If that is ever hot fixed and the boss doesn't death every turn, then morale will be totally fine. It'll be really easy. And so, what are you guys' thoughts on that? At this point, do you think they should patch the boss any further and change it? Because at this point, last time I checked, like 4 hours ago, we've already got 30 rank 1s. By this point, I wouldn't be surprised if there's more than 100 rank 1s. So this is this is very, very cappable. I feel like they should just leave it be. I don't think they should change it, even though the change would be, technically speaking, a bug fix. I think it's fine as is, and just leave it be.
Just say it's a feature.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I think we're past points of, because if 30 people are ranked 1, and I was in the process of rank 1. I already capped it. I just need to finish it within 10 turns. If I can do it, most people can do it.
Yeah,
If I do it, no one has an excuse.
One other thing though that kind of just pissed me off, they changed the settings so that turn limit was another counter again. So like before, like the last cow, right? We could do it in any number of turns, but this cow, that's no longer a thing. So I kind of hate that.
Yeah. Yes. I kind of agree. I would prefer that the turn limit thing not matter. I think the reason that was the case because last month, like Thanator was crazy bulky, and you just weren't doing it. And, I mean, I know people did do it in 10 turns, but the average player is not doing it in 10 turns. I couldn't do it in 10 turns. So I think that was the reason they did that, because it was so bulky. And this one is not bulky at all. This one is very easy to hit that damage cap, assuming you can fill that morale gauge. That is the problem. The morale gauge is the hard fight here. If you can fill the morale gauge and deal with the death, the damage is like almost a giveaway, because Sky does like 1.5 billion by herself, and she was giving her intrinsic for free. So just add one more DPS, and like you've got like I did, I think, like 3.8 billion damage on my last clear. So way over the cap with only 2 DPS. So yeah, the damage tuning is fine. It's just filling the morale gauge is very hard.
Yeah, and that's why it's a bit weird. Even if they do, I guess if they fix the bug, then it makes it easier. But they haven't even talked about it yet, I guess. So we're only assuming it's a bug, right?
Yes. Well, the news we got on Tuesday, the way it was worded, it said that, like, I forget the exact wording, but basically it said if you mana drain the boss and keep his mana drained, he won't use death. And we do have the data mine at this point, and by looking at the data mine, we can kind of see, you can kind of actually see the AI glitch, which is causing the boss to death every turn. Like it's not a typo, but it's just a mistake in the AI where he's doing death. He's doing death every single turn when he shouldn't be. So that it's 99% unintentional. So that probably wasn't meant to do that.
Yeah. So that's Cal. I think the only thing that's blocking me from rank 1ing it is Kaito only being EX2. So I need to find a replacement either for Kaito or fit in Kaito by removing Chizuru, which I might have to do.
Yeah, Chizuru, based on my clear, it could definitely be replaced with either Wilk or Esther. Or maybe even Oliveira, and I'm being serious. Oliveira does crazy high damage, even though he's dark. But dark is one of the weaknesses, so it's fine.
I guess. Maybe I'll try it with Wilk instead of Chizuru. I think the only reason I want to try Chizuru is because she's a new shiny unit. I was going to keep using her. And her support ability, her beast killers is kind of hard to like replace right now. So that was another thing. Oh,
That's
wait,
true.
did Wilk have a beast killer? No, he had a demon dragon. So yeah.
I don't think he has beast, no. But again, my clear, like I said, I overcast by more than 1 billion, so maybe you don't even need beast killer.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll try it with Wilk and see what happens. Is that it for this week? I felt like there was so much to do this week, but at the same time, there was nothing else to do. So,
pretty much. That's all we really have, I guess. Yeah.
Hazard, do you have anything else to add?
Doing Cal right now, actually.
Look at this man.
I've got Kresnik, Honda, Sylvie, Esther, Zero, and Kaito. So I will be looking at Sinzar's guide, and I encourage you to do so as well. We can cap this baby off. And it's fun to hang out with you guys again and chat some FFBE. And hopefully we get some more cool units soon. I think the summer units are coming soon, aren't they?
What summer units?
No, technically Balthier should be very, very close. I'm pretty sure it should be Balthier next. Or Roos? Is it Roos? Or
we get summer units every year, though? Is that not happening?
Not anymore.
Based on the JP schedule, it would be winter for them. So around this time, they did get Winter Charlotte and Winter Domino or whatever. At this point, we've kind of skipped them because they're like 3 or 4 banners back in the schedule. So we're probably not getting them. But there's, as far as I remember, there's no summer themed units from JP. So if we did get any summer themed units, it would have to be global exclusives.
Well, just hoping, I guess. But yeah, sounds good. Appreciate you guys, and let's do this again next week.
Sounds good. See you guys
later.